Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of my podcast. And the topic of today's podcast is peace. At the end of the podcast, I will also give you a word vocabulary. That is the meaning of all the keywords which I will be discussing in today's podcast. So let's start. A great yoga psychologist compares the mind to a lake whose surface is constantly lashed into waves. There are two causes for this agitation. First, the sense impressions gathered from the world outside, and secondly, the subconscious storehouse of the mind. The mind is relentlessly thrown into thought waves which color it completely. It gets involved in these thoughts and feelings and is carried away by the force of the impressions coming in every moment, causing experiences both pleasure and pain. If one wants peace of mind, one has to control the source from which disturbances arise. We also have to learn the art of not being carried away by any thought that arises in the mind. Though thinking is a very important aspect of human life, it has to be controlled to produce beneficial results. Idle thinking or being carried away by disproportionate thought produces contrary results. Uncontrolled thought produces uncontrolled activities. Then how do we control our thought? It can be done by repeated effort and dispassion. The level of awareness of the mind has to be raised and thought should be maintained at that level. Action resulting from those thoughts will be helpful. Thoughts and actions that keep our mind calm and peaceful and association with good and noble people are to be cultivated. Friendliness, love, compassion and cheerfulness should be cultivated. We must repeatedly practice everything that brings our nobler elements from within and gives us peace. By constant practice, one gets established in these virtues. On the other hand, one must practice dispassion and disassociation from situations that cause disturbances and peacelessness. Do what you can to help others in trouble, but keep away from evil. Take care not to be carried away by jealousy and anger. By persistent practice and self-control, one gets established in dispassion. If we value peace, we must be prepared to pay for it. Excusing ourselves by saying it is all too difficult will not solve the problem. Unfortunately, most of us are content to remain the way we are. If an undesirable thought arises in the mind, some desirable and noble thought should be brought in, and it should be done deliberately and with a conscious mind. If thoughts of anger and jealousy come, raise thoughts of love. This neutralizing action must start soon, without any delay. Of course, the evil within us is deep-rooted, so we have to be very vigilant and cautious. And that is the price we have to pay to correct ourselves. Eventually, a truly peaceful person becomes a focal point for the peace of all those around him. When individual peace is attained by many, collective peace becomes a possibility. So that was all for today's podcast. Now let's move on to the word vocabulary. We will take a look of all the keywords which we have used in this podcast. Disproportionate is something which is out of proportion, that is too large or too small in comparison with something else. Dispassionate is not being emotional, that is unemotional. Compassion means pity or having concern. Virtue means behavior showing high moral standards. Deep rooted means deeply implanted or established. Vigilant means being alert. So that was all for today's podcast. Thank you.